Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list, I'm continuing my series on large size banknotes. This week we are going to tackle the large size $10 notes. So this is going to be the top 10 large size $10 notes from my collection. And let's get started. Number 10 this week. I've got a Federal Reserve note. Now, this one you can see is the Act of 1913, and if we look at the series of 1914. Series of 1914 Federal Reserve note. This is the first series of Federal Reserve notes. This was notes that were backed by the Federal Reserve specifically. There was a portion of them that was backed by gold or silver or something to that effect, but for the most part, it was the Federal Reserve saying that these had value. Now, this introduced the 12 Federal Reserve banks, and you can see on here they've got, this particular one is Dallas, so they've got 11 and District K. K is the 11th letter, so that's how that came about. You'll notice that it is 11K in all the different corners, and of course the serial number also starts with the K, so no matter what, you know what district this was from. The large size note, if we look at the back, you can see they got the farmers on this side and they've got industry on that side, covering both of the bases. Pretty cool imagery on the back of this particular note. That is the $10 note from 1914, the Federal Reserve note, this one being from Dallas. Number 9. I have another Federal Reserve note from the same year. You can see here, series of 1914, but this was one of the first ones they printed, and yes, it's in terrible shape, but this has the red seal. Only about 10% of the notes were printed with a red seal. Then they changed over to the blue seal, like you see over here. People were confusing the red seal on this with a legal tender, so they switched it to blue, because that wouldn't cause any confusion. Most blue seals, those were used for silver certificates. Eventually, they figured it out in 1928 when they did the small size version of these, and they put the green seal on there. But the initial foray was with the red seal. And like I said, if you can find one with a red seal, you're talking about a much shorter print run, and these notes can be worth up to 10 times what their blue seal counterparts are worth. So even though this one is trashed compared to this one's probably still worth more. If you can get yourself a red seal, go for it. These are the ones that hold a lot of value. The blue seals are neat to have in your collection, but ultimately the red seal is what you're looking for. That one is number 9. You can see everything else would be the same. So that's number 9. Number 8. I have a national. This is from the First National Bank of Grand Forks, North Dakota. When you're talking about nationals, the smaller the city and the further west, the more valuable the note. So if you just want to get a national in your collection, you could start off with New York, New York, and probably not have to pay too much. But if you try to find something from Honolulu, Hawaii, that's going to be ridiculously expensive. This particular one, it's McKinley on there, right there. And if we look on the back, you can see it has what's representing the Atlantic and the Pacific here, and you've got a steamship and a battleship on the back. Kind of neat to see that on there. There are date backs as well. This particular one, as much as I want to say it's from the second charter period, I shouldn't say that because that's not how they should be done. And actually, that's not even true because this one is dated September 12th, 1921. So this would actually be the third period. No, series of 1902. Let me think. That is the third charter period. But we're not supposed to call it the third charter period. We're just supposed to call it the series of 1902. Anyway, large size $10 national. You can get these from over 15,000 different banks. There's the charter number on this one, 2570. And this little number is the serial number for this particular charter number. And then this would be the serial number for all of the national banks combined. That's why there's all these different numbers on there. That one is number 8. Number 7. Not in the greatest of condition, but I do have one. It's my tombstone note. You can see here, this is a silver certificate. It says 10 silver dollars. Not $10 in silver, 10 silver dollars. So there was actually 10 silver $1 bills stored in the treasury, and this represented those. You can see their series of 1891 right there. They did change these in the future to say $10 in silver when silver started to outpace the dollar. Looking at the back, you can see a little bit of white back here. Like I said, not in the greatest of condition, but to have the tombstone note in my collection is pretty cool. It's called that because you got this image right here, and this is Vice President Hendricks, if I remember right. Yeah. And he died in office, I want to say in 1890. This is in 1891. Was it 1890? He died 1 year. No, 1886 is when he died. And he was put on this note the following year. That is the tombstone. You can see this one here has got a red seal, which is kind of weird for silver certificates. Normally they have the blue seal. But that one is number 7. Number 6. This is an obsolete currency from the Stonington Bank in Connecticut. Obsolete currency is what people used before the government stepped in and put out national currency, or federal currency, whichever way you want to put it. Individual banks used to print their own money. The problem with that is once you started to get away from the particular town or city that bank was from, you didn't know if that bank still existed, so it began to lose value the further away you got from the home bank. If you didn't know if the bank existed, you didn't know if anything was backing the money. So there was a lot of risk involved in taking these when you drifted further away from the actual bank. The Stonington Bank in Connecticut has an interesting little vignette up here. It's a whaling scene. Now, they use a whaling scene on this $10 bill as well as on the $2 bill. And the $2 bill actually made the cover of the Obsolete banknotes. But that's a pretty impressive vignette. And that just represents what was going on at the time. You have to remember, this was like the 1850s when this was circulating. Pretty cool X in the center there with the figures. And this is blank on the back. Overall, just a cool note. One of the rare ones that features a whaling vignette. That is number 6. Number 5. This is my 1880 legal tender, $10 legal tender. This is the Jackass note. That would be Daniel Webster right there. Take a look at the back. Pretty ornate designs on the back. A little bit of blank space so you can see the threads there. And of course it does have the $5,000 fine or 15 years in prison at hard labor or both for counterfeiting. This particular one is called the Jackass. It's from 1880, and the reason it's called that is because of this really cool picture of the eagle right there. Because when you see that eagle, it looks pretty good. It looks like it got startled and it's about to take off. The thing is that if you start rotating this like this, you now get a white muzzle and an eyeball and an ear and a mane, and it looks like a donkey. Donkeys, of course, in 1880 were always referred to as a jackass, so that's why this became known as the Jackass note. Don't know if this was intentional or if it just happened to come out that way, but because it did, thus the name. So yes, you most certainly should get a Jackass in your collection. Very cool note, very cool story. That is number 5. Number 4. I have my $10 gold certificate. I always refer to this as my Charlie Brown note. I'm probably the only person on the planet that refers to it that way. That's fine. I know what note I'm talking about. It's actually Michael Hillegas on there. He was, I want to say, the first treasurer of the United States. The $10 gold certificate, at the time, this was the smallest denomination for gold certificates that you could get. If you wanted smaller denominations of gold, you could get a $10, a $5 gold piece, a $1 gold piece. But as far as notes went, 10 was the lowest denomination you can get. 1922 gold certificate, aside from having the yellow seals, the yellow numbers, it has the goldfish orange back. That's what makes these so stunning. Just to see that bright orange there. It's too bad that they didn't continue that with further gold certificates or even the small size ones. You can't really get that goldfish orange. That made it such a cool note. This particular one, fun note to have, one of the easier gold certificates to get. They are fairly common and fairly inexpensive compared to other gold certificates. So if you don't have one, this is an easy one for you to target in the future. That is number 4. Number 3. This is from the New Orleans, Louisiana Citizens Bank of Louisiana $10 certificate, an obsolete currency. And this one happens to be a remainder, which means it was not signed, it was not numbered, not issued. It's from the it says 1860 something here. It's 1850s, 1860s. One of the most famous obsolete notes out there because this came from New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans, known for the French Quarter. 10 in French is D-I-X. So they wrote on the back in French, D-I-X, which gave this note a very interesting nickname. They called these note Dixies. And if you went down south and you were selling stuff off a barge, you wanted to come back with handfuls of Dixies because you knew these were good. Where do you go to get Dixies? To Dixieland. This is the note that gave the South the nickname Dixieland. That's what it is. That's the story that I've heard everywhere, and I'm sticking to it. Very cool imagery of the ship there, and yeah, very impressive note. Only about 500 of these still exist, so I had to get one of those, and that's why it ranks so high on my list. That's number 3. Number 2. Many people thought I was going to have this as my number 1 note. This is my 1923 $10 legal tender. Legal tender, of course, has the red seals on there. It makes it very easy to see. And you can see the date right there, series of 1923. These were not out for very long at all. These were printed late. They only have one signature combination. And by 1928, we did away with the large size notes. So from 1923 to 1928, you're only talking a 5-year window. With such a small print run and such a small number of signature combinations, that made these extremely hard to get. This one is known as the poker chip, and it's called that because on the back of the note you have these gigantic circles that are very reminiscent of poker chips. Now, I would love to say that poker players sometimes have a little bit of extra money being a poker player, and when they hear that there is a banknote called a poker chip, of course they want to own one. And that's part of the demand on this. This is an expensive note, and it tends to be an introductory note for a lot of people who just happen to stumble into some extra cash. That makes them very difficult to get, because not only do you have true collectors looking for these, but you have newer collectors who hear the design name poker chip and want to have it in their collection. That makes these in the thousands of dollars to own, which makes them a little tough. You don't see them on the market too often. When you do, that's your opportunity to get one. They're a great add to your collection. That is number 2. And finally, number 1, I don't know. When you see them all together, I think this one was a no-brainer. This is the 1901 legal tender, $10 legal tender. It's not necessarily a commemorative, but it was to commemorate Lewis and Clark. Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. They went cross-country to check out the Louisiana Purchase and see exactly everything that we got with the purchase. Ended up going all the way to the Pacific Ocean. They probably saw more bison than anyone. So having the bison there, having Meriwether Lewis and Clark on this note, it's not exactly a commemorative. It is from the 1901 series, and I believe that they went in 1801, so it was a $100-year anniversary. Very cool on the back. You got big open spaces for whites. You can see the red and blue fibers in there, making it a little bit tougher for counterfeiters. Just a cool note. I'm pretty sure you guys would agree. One of the coolest notes. This note screams like 1850s, even though it's a 1901, just because of the imagery on there, and I think that was by design. Anyway, that is what I've got for you guys this week. my top 10 tens. If you learn anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.